all these break beats, getting my cyberpunk groove on here at Gamers Without Borders. But we have got ourselves another bracket to go, as we have the EPT bracket now. 4 more series here to qualify 2 more players through to Gamers 8. Joining me to my left-hand side to talk about whatever may be happening here, we've got Pig as well as Loco for this one. And we can take a look straight at the lower bracket here, gentlemen. I was going to ask you kind of guys about the previous series, but I mean, what is it really to ask? We've got these 4 series on the way now. Lambo and Spirit, a best of 3. Reigner and Showtime, a best of 3. And the winner of each goes on against Special or Oliveira, respectively, is Pig. So some good StarCraft to come, I think, Pig.
Indeed, yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I mean, it's kind of cool as well because the Korean part of the day has always been taking such a long time towards the start.
Yeah.
And I finally get a chance to actually talk about some of these lovely European players that have been a little bit later on in the day. There's been a few action-packed games so far. Obviously, I think, you know, just looking at Special waiting there, it was so impressive that he did manage to take out Reigner earlier on. And I wonder if he's going to be hoping for Lambo or Spirit. I feel like I want to see more of those cool mech builds.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it myself as well. Loco, let's talk about this first match that we're going to be having going down in this best of 3. It will be the Lambo and Spirit matchup coming in here to find out who moves on to a qualification match. Now, for my money, when I'm looking at this, if you'd have asked me 2 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, Lambo's probably the favorite here. However, when it comes to Spirit in this matchup, I feel like he plays a lot of it and barely loses it, unless it's a Dark, a Ragnarok, a Reigner, or somebody like that. Spirit's very good here in TVZ.
No, I think you're 100% correct, James. These two are, in my mind, almost like at a similar level, right? A couple years ago, maybe Lambo would have been the favorite, but these days, I definitely think Spirit has a very good shot. I think overall, though, as far as skill level goes, these two must be very close, right? Like, Lambo kind of gets overshadowed a little bit by, like, Reigner and Serral on the European server, and then Spirit on the other end gets overshadowed a bit by Clem and Hero Marine. And I think this is going to be a really cool match, I think. It's going to be really close.
Pig, your thoughts coming into this? I know you've been eager to talk about the Europeans, as you say. So what do you think coming into this matchup?
I think Spirit's just been on a hot streak lately, mate. I feel like Spirit has really had momentum on his side. He's shown a lot of ability to go toe-to-toe with the top dogs. And I feel like in the last year, Spirit's gone from being practice partner of the greats to the guy who can actually beat the greats. He might not be a favorite necessarily every match against Serral, but I really feel that Spirit actually comes in here as a heavy favorite. He's recently been very good versus Lambo. I think it'll be a close series no matter what and quite competitive, but it just feels to me like Spirit's playing a very free-flowing version of StarCraft, and as always, what are his strengths? Mega macro, lots of harassment. He's just very good at those 2 aspects of the game. You could argue timing attacks are his weakness, but I just feel like he can potentially out-multitask and out-macro Lambo in the late game.
Fair. I mean, technically, I suppose Spirit could look back at the Oliveira Lambo series and try and see what was going on Lambo's side of things here, Loco. However, that series was quite different from the side of Oliveira, just kind of throwing some cheeky little things around and catching Lambo with his pants down a bit.
Yeah, he played some, Oliveira that is, he played some very aggressive builds, right? Playing with the Mass Widowmine drop, but in general, it kind of looked like Lambo was a bit out of it. I mean, the Reapers in that game also got some drone kills, which really isn't supposed to happen. I know that Lambo has apparently been switching up some of his hardware recently. Apparently, he's got a new mouse that he's been playing with, so maybe that's something. I know he used to play with one of those MMO mice for many, many years. And apparently, only recently he switched over to something that most of the other pro gamers, at the very least, agree with, because most of the guys don't like having one of those mice with like 17 buttons on the side.
But if that's what you thumb to select his control groups.
Yeah, he uses thumb control groups apparently, but now I guess he can't any longer. I'm not exactly sure. So maybe that's why Lambo looked a little bit out of it in that series versus Oliveira, but I really don't think that showed what the man is capable of. Like, he's really good.
That's next level gaming if you end up just binding fungal growth to one of those buttons and all this other stuff.
I think it's like run by groups, you know? I think he's got like an extra hotkey for like run bys on his, like, I guess, thumb? Yeah.
There you go.
Actually, wait. Technically, I don't think there's any rulings against using foot pedals, right? Like it doesn't have to just be mouse and keyboard,
point.
Right?
This was a point that Katowice.
Yeah, have a foot pedal. You've got 2 control groups on the foot pedal. You're like using those to kind of use your run bys and stuff.
Yeah, like your
walk up to every tournament. Yeah, you have like a DDR pad or something. I don't know.
I'm getting an update here from Wardy. Apparently, Harstom asked for it at Katowice, but he got told no.
Oh.
Really?
Wait, did this really happen, or are we being trolled?
I remember this being a point of discussion, but I don't want to remember exactly what the result was. But there you go. Maybe the admin was like, I don't know, I've never had this request before. Nobody's asked me this. No, I mean, I can imagine having a foot pedal with an extra control group is nice.
I mean, I'm under the impression there's probably not a written rule about foot pedals. But anyway, we're getting on a massive tangent here.
Like a drum set, you know, from Rock Band back in the day.
I'll get my Roland Electric kit on the go and we'll play StarCraft like that. All right, anyway, never mind. We've got ourselves a video game to play. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Time to head over to the commentators here for this best of 3. Let's do it.
Super excited to get started on the EPT section right now as Woody and Demu coming at you to cast a little bit of TVZ, a matchup, I think, Ben, which we can look at. And I personally have definitely been feeling Spirit a little bit more lately, in part because of what we've just heard from the guys on the desk, that Lambo has been switching things up, getting back in practice and so on. And Spirit, I have to say, has really just been, to me, like, kind of phenomenal as of late. Like, he's just continuing to deliver time and time again.
You're absolutely right. And like in my head, I don't know why I have this notion of Lambo just being more solid than Spirit overall, but statistically between these two, Spirit has a better record against him historically, not just like recently, historically, which is a 61% win rate, which you might be like, it's not too bad. Over 40 series, that definitely means something. And as of late, Spirit's been getting the upper hand of him. And, you know, the guys talked about it. He's got a new mouse as well to kind of get used to, but we're going to get right into it. Spawning over in the top left here on Gresvan, it is Spirit.
And down in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, our blue Zerg player is going to be Lambo from the Shopify Rebellion.
Really cool team, Shopify. You know, they've burst onto the scene, got a full roster together. They helped out the whole EPT circuit and tournaments like Home Story Cup and what have you multiple times. And they've got a really, really cool roster. And they obviously look after their players because everyone that joined Shopify Rebellion basically got boosted in skill, it really feels like. So they're all obviously happy there. But when it comes to going up against Spirit, Spirit is the kind of guy that we all know. He likes to play the late game before the late game's even happening. In fact, he likes to go for the late game right from minute 3, basically. And he's starting off kind of like that with a CC first. But obviously this has become a little bit more normal for these kind of players, for Terrans in general, just because it is a pretty safe opening to go for.
Absolutely, it has been, as double gas gets going from Spirit as well. So it's just going to be that CC first into our double gas and really just rocking into some tech to follow this up. And it isn't necessarily always going to be that double gas either, right? You can go into multiple racks behind this and, you know, go more 2-1-1-esque as well. So just so many options. And yeah, it's definitely kind of a fun one to, you know, throw in, especially on these maps where the Zergs are less likely to kind of, you know, get aggressive straight away.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I remember back in the day, CC first, it was like, oh dear, if the Zerg went for this build, you're dead. But if they didn't, then you're okay. And like kind of stems from Brood War. If they opened up like a pool first, you went CC first, you're dead. But these days, Terrans aren't opening up like 2 racks always behind it, like the 2-on-1 and stuff. They actually have a lot of openings. So you still get to be safe, a little bit greedier. Yeah, Hellions and stuff are out later on the map, but if that suits your style, I think it's always worth throwing out here, there, and everywhere. I think one of the first guys I saw really utilizing a lot was Oliveira quite some time ago, but he ended up taking some big wins. And in fact, I think Bunny knocked Reina out of GSL with it too when he had that little stint in Korea. So, I mean, it is a build that is decent, but so far, both sides of things looks very standard for both of them. Lambo not having a Reaper turn up his base immediately. He's just going to cross the map very nonchalantly.
Very nonchalantly indeed. Just gets to get the Zergling up to the front. We'll see the CC can run up the ramp and just try and pick up a bit of information here as well if you would like. So just up scout around. Feelings that you can chase the SCVs around for a few moments. So chase those away, and that's some lost mining time. That's already a lot more than I feel you're usually expecting to have happen. So decent start, honestly. The Reaper does come out, and the Lings will now get picked away at. But yeah, actually not bad. Oh, we do get an SCV at the end as well, so able to grab one to round things out.
You know what's funny? Like, you build those 4 links as safety links for the Reaper that you kind of expect from, like, a regular build. But given that, you know, it never came, it came but way too late, Spirit's lost mining time, I think it kind of just... It's paid off for Lambo making those to be aggressive links and the CC first. I give Lambo the little edge from this opening, but look at that. That is such a fast third CC from Spirit here.
Yep. That's kind of the power of this, right? Is that you can just take such a fast third off of already being somewhat greedy in the beginning, and you can just get so much done from these scenarios. So that's exactly what we're seeing being done right now. Spirit just taking the chance to get into 3 bases, and from here he can follow up as he wishes. He's going to start that stim pack. Spirit has still trended more towards the bio play, and obviously we've seen a lot of mech play today and just across the tournament so far. It's probably been the more popular of the 2 styles, but bio is definitely, I still think, Spirit's go-to. I don't think Spirit can't play mech, just I think he does prefer to play the bio and then play into the later stage from that bio rather than just meching it throughout.
I think it's spot on. Like, the way that I've seen him play, he's definitely good with all stages of bio. Especially that late game, you see a few Terrans such as like the Beyonds of the world that don't always want to go into the Ghost play, even though we saw it from him in this tournament. But, you know, it's not necessarily in their repertoire, whereas Spirit, I feel he ticks all the boxes for all the things that Terran can do. It's just about what he likes to do. But this game, he's played as greedy as possible. Like this Liberator that he's made as well, if he was against any sort of like Roach play or anything like that, because his scouting has been fairly minimal as well, he'd have been dead. Like, he'd have been super dead with a build like this. But luckily he wasn't against that. And we also have to remember that these guys are friends. Like, they know each other pretty damn well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they really do. They play against each other all the time as well. These are 2 players who frequently will practice together as well. So as we see this Liberator heading down to the south, we will have the chance to try and harass a little bit. 1-1 upgrade's already starting from Spirit as well, so he's going to make sure he has the upgrade lead in this. Little grenade to bop the Queen's back for a moment or 2 as the Liberator again tries to find a position. Going to aim for the 3rd where the Queen is out of position, so let's see if the drones pull away. They don't immediately. That's 1, 2, maybe 3 drones, maybe even more, because they just keep running back to those minerals. We're going to get 6. Okay, you commit the Liberator and you might just lose it here, but 6 drones, not bad at all for the Lib. And they've still got these Hellions now clearing up creep in the front, so Lambo's going to be losing out on map control as we go.
That was actually pretty brutal, because I mean that was obviously avoidable, right? Like you said it, those drones kept going back to those minerals, and it felt like Spirit was lining it up nicely. He was harassing those Queens and just kind of poking at the front and whatnot. But Lambo definitely dropped the ball a little bit there, although not down and out. He is establishing a 4th base. The creep spread's still looking pretty nice. The Hellions are still out and about, and he hasn't sacrificed those just yet, but having 8 Hellions alive, the armory's going to finish up soon, and it's lining up with that 1-1 and combat shields. There's going to be a scary push coming out from Spirit, like, mark my words.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. He's going to have a timing here, and there's got to be a way to defend that. Otherwise, this game is going to fall away from Lambo very, very quickly. So as those first upgrades finish up, we'll be keeping our eyes on, again, A, Spirit attacking, but B, what Lambo is going to try and do about that as well. As you know, the 1-1's about halfway done. The Baneling speed is all coming up as well. It's just all that much faster for Spirit. So again, the timing here is going to be great. At least the Baneling speed should be finished at, at least fairly close to the start of this fight, if not for this fight, because that's at least one of the 2 things, Baneling speed and 1-1, that you would like to have. So having the Bane speed at least gives you some chances, especially considering all of these engagements will happen on creep spread.
These upgrades finished in beautiful time, by the way. 1-1 plus combat shields. He even finished the armory as he's pushing here. He could start his 2-2, but the fight will commence. And look at the positioning. I like the tanks on the low ground. Those Banelings, they were not efficient whatsoever. Taking a shot from the tank and then running into those Hellbats. And he's trying to get a flank ready. But look how he's positioning this with the Hellbats. It's really nice play from Spirit.
I love it as well. Target fires the Bane, so the Marines just survive on the low ground, and man, with the 1-1, it's not even close. This base will fall, but the entire Zerg army's gone. Never mind killing off the base. Let's just go for the kill right now. Spirit getting everything possible, and these Marines just going to stand here and clean on up. 30 supply lead coming out of this, now 20 as Lambo gets a little bit more production on the way. Spirit will have to fall back to some reinforcements, especially because these Marines obviously low HP. Medivacs are kind of drained of energy, but this was a fantastic start, and this really throws, Lambo under the bus, because now Spirit, he's just going to be able to keep the pressure up. There's no reason he has to slow down here. He can just keep on moving.
And good luck keeping that base alive in this position. I mean, he has to fight off creep against a big pre-spread. The drone's running in again, Wardy, and he has to fight the upper ground. He has to fight the lower ground. Look at those Banelings. Those are the saddest Banelings I've ever seen. They didn't know where to go, and GG early on. Spirit, wow, that was just, he came, he did his harass, he came with a follow-up push, and just absolutely bopped him. Like that was not close.
It doesn't really get more one-sided than that in a lot of ways, honestly, right? That was really just Spirit, as you say, he bopped him. there's not really much to go into. The harassed. He cleaned up a bit of creep, and then when the push came, the positioning was beautiful. And Lambo tried to set up the flank. It just didn't do anything. I think the real issue was he didn't get any Banes toward the Marines, right? He may have been able to clean up the tanks, but the Marines on the high ground went just so uncontested. When they're just left there to shred with the upgrade lead, they are going to do wonderful things. And that's obviously exactly what we ended up seeing in that game number 1.
Yeah, really stellar play from Spirit. Like this Liberator obviously shouldn't be doing what it did here. I know Lambo was getting his queens in position and stuff, but whether there was something else happening or just a little bit of misjudgment by him, these Banelings, this positioning, look at those Hellbats at the back. I don't even see where 2 more pop from the bottom on the left there.
Bottom left, yeah. They
did such a good job of just making that run by or that run around, just not do that much in Spirit, even microing on the high ground while doing it on the low ground. That was actually a top performance out of him. I wasn't necessarily sure what to expect because both of these two, I think it is kind of like 60-40 historically between them, but Spirit looked just better, bigger and better, which that's a hard thing to do against Lambo.
No, it definitely is. Lambo's a formidable opponent. He's one of the, big European players that isn't quite the Serral or the Raynor, sure, but like he's one of those guys that's difficult to get through when you're making your way through these non-Korean events, right? And in this case, Spirit made it look like he was the player that's, Lambo's meant to get through, right? And I wouldn't, in the past, have put those in the same guys in the same kind of class, but one thing that's definitely struck me lately is the consistency of Spirit. That's one thing that's been so, just every single time he plays, it seems like he has a fighting chance. It's never Spirit getting rolled over anymore. And that definitely used to be the case, where sometimes Spirit just wouldn't get off the ground at all. So yeah, excited to see game 2 because Lambo's going to have to make some heavy adjustments here. Otherwise, Spirit's just going to have a very easy move through into that qualifying matchup later today.
Yeah, it's funny what you say about Spirit because like a lot of players kind of get stuck, and I felt that way maybe about Spirit for a while. Like there was some people that he just could not beat for the life of him, like the Hero Marines of the world. But even against those guys, he's actually managed to not just take maps now, like he can take series off them. And Hero Marine can no longer look at Spirit as like I'm gonna obviously own this guy, because like it's not the case. Like even in this tournament, it was pretty close between them. Like I think a 2-1 for Gabe, and Gabe showcased how good he was against Terran, taking down the world champ 3-0 pretty shamelessly as well. Like it was pretty damn swift. So Spirit, yeah, he's looking great, man, and it's good to see. It's good to see out of him.
It is absolutely fantastic. In the bottom right, the red Terran that we're glamoring over right now, it is Spirit.
And NeoHumanity, a bit of a large map. Spawner in the top left here. As our blue Zerg, it is Lambo. Pool first here, Wardy. Pool first. Now, it's not always one of those things where it's like, you interview him after and you're like, were you expecting a 2-Rex? And, the 2-Rex happens like, yeah, I just know my opponent so well. What do you think's going to happen out of this? Because I think it can be good for those Lings that can sneak by. But do you also think that Spirit is the kind of guy that can do a 2-Rex if he's 1-0 up cheekily?
I mean, he can, but I feel like when you win the first game like that, you just don't. And especially in a best of 3, I think in a best of 5, I wouldn't be shocked to see Spirit 2-Rex, but in a best of 3, I would be. And what's actually really sad for Lambo here is that Spirit's going to double down on the command center first. So command center first is actually good against pool first, right? Because the Lings don't show up in time to deny the CC anymore. So the whole benefit of having those Lings out early kind of is negated. The only good thing that could happen here is if Lambo kind of blindly went for like a roach roll in with the pool first, then the CC first does have some trouble. So does Lambo take the correct risk here? If this is just a safety play and I'll see what goes on, this is fantastic because you're basically playing super eco versus a safer build, and as Spirit you're going to get away with it, and that's exactly what it seems to be for now.
Yeah, like a lot of these CC first, and he even did the SV scout. I don't know if he did that in the first game. If he didn't, and he did it in this game, I love that from Spirit. Because that is the kind of time that if you are playing against a Zerg that noticed you did that, they can then be like, oh, you greedy little sucker, you're going to do that again, eh? Or at least like some kind of greedy play that you can maybe be a little bit of a scandal against. But this time he scouts for the SCV, gets to see like, oh, there's a few Lings out in the field, he's getting the Reaper, he's being kind of safe and steady. But you're totally right. These CC first builds, they aren't actually that bad against these pool first situations, just because at worst, you lose a little bit of mining time. At best, you didn't rally SCVs down to the low base anyway, and you're just totally fine. And then it's your opponent putting themselves at an economic deficit for not much damage, really.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just a good start then for Spirit. I like it. Be very excited to see what he can do from this. Factory is going to come up, obviously. Could go into fast 3cc again. I'd be surprised if he didn't. I don't think he's necessarily someone who's going to 2-base, especially when, again, you can get to that 3cc position so easily. So there it is. Coming down, third command center. And it's just going to macro it up once again. But again, that still has that kind of deadly timing to it a bit further down the line. So it's not just like a sit back and relax. We saw in the last game, it's the exact opposite of that, really.
Yeah, definitely could be. Definitely could be. This game so far, just after the pool first opening, it's just lining up very nicely. It's not as if Lambo committed anything to it. I just think Lambo was testing the water. It's nice to make sure that you're not going to die against somebody doing a 2-racks like that. And if you are against somebody and you did die to a 2-racks in such phenomenal fashion here, because I mean, this is a qualifier for one of the biggest tournaments we're going to have, that would suck. So I like the safety play, but Spirit just going to be nice, steady here. He's going for that nice, quick third CC. He did have a tech lab ready for the starport, so most likely going to go for a Banshee here. Banshee's obviously nice against any potential pressure that you can go up against, so showcasing that he can actually change and divvy up what he's going for. It's always a bit annoying when you do go for a Liberator and did so much damage and then you can't do it again just because of how risky it is, but hey, these things happen.
I like the Cloak Banshees and everything, though. I mean, honestly, there's so much potential with those as well. They're just a really standout, solid unit. You know, you never regret going Cloak Banshees, I feel like. There's very rarely that you can be like, oh man, these Banshees suck. Maybe against like 2-base meter or something, but there's almost always opportunities to find with these Banshees, so 100% expecting them to be a big part of this. Left first, at least from Lambo, means he will be quicker to the Overseers, which in this case will help him against those Banshees a little bit as well. A bit more maneuverability with his detection, so the Queens can move around with an Overseer and really try and minimize what the Banshees can find. There will be a little bit of time where the Banshees can go against no Overseer, but it will be fairly limited.
Roach Warren on the go. Do you think Lambo's potentially sniffing out like what he thinks might be mech here with that kind of play? Like, I haven't seen a hell of a lot of Lambo recently when it comes to his ZVT. I obviously got to see him against Oliveira, and he kind of stuck to a nice, safe, standard style. But the way that he's playing here, kind of... In fact, no, he knows everything that's going on now. He knows everything with the Overlord, and going for the Carapace first. He has a second Evo, right?
I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll find out in a sec. Maybe it's just the one. That's kind of interesting. You know, we have seen a lot more just Roach focus play in ZVT, just even when it's not necessarily like going to be mech. And obviously the fact that mech is more possible makes the Roach play be a little bit more popular, but we've seen so much more just kind of like Roaches into Ling Bane as a follow-up. So maybe this is that, especially with just a single Evo chamber, you just get a Carapace upgrade. Wow, a Infestation Pit already in Roach speed? I'm very interested as to what this is.
This is like a blast from the past, like a Snoot-esque build, you know? Like it's it's proper funky what he's doing here, and it's not what I necessarily expect out of Lambo, but I like it. And this map, it is kind of long. It's fairly narrow. Does mean that those fungals and having infestors in the right places will be nice to do. Going for the Hydralisk Den, most likely going to be for Hive and Lurkers, eh? Just kind of bringing that style back again.
Yeah. I guess so, just Roaches into Lurkers. I just wonder why we don't get a missile upgrade earlier, but I guess just make sure you don't get overwhelmed. So anyways, I mean, here we go, Hydra Den coming through. Get that Hive started alongside the Lurker Den, get the Lurker upgrades ASAP, basically. There are timings you've got to be concerned about here, because if you're going to try and be greedy alongside building Roaches, like Roaches are fine, but they can get outmassed. And the moment Roaches are outmassed, they really don't look good. So you just got to be careful you don't get, you know, too greedy going into the Lurkers that one time and actually hurts you more, you know, in a situation where it doesn't ever feel like you should die because Roaches are on the field. But you can see what Spirit's doing. He's getting double bunker. He's not sure about what it is, so he's actually preparing safely. Meanwhile, Lambo is actually just teching straight up. So this looks great for Lambo, of course, with Spirit kind of reading this wrongly.
I was just thinking to myself, whenever I see Roaches, especially when they're kind of moving out in the field and you don't get the full picture, as a Terran, you always have to be a bit scared, because if you're out of position even momentarily, boom, you know, like they come, they attack you, you're like, damn it, I got fooled again by this, because it is very, very common, very popular as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Lambo, what he's doing here, I think he's playing a smart game, and I think he's abusing the fact that that timing is so damn strong. And this third it's reasonably open getting there, right? From the Terran. Yep. But everything that he's done so far, he's just had a free ticket to Lurkers, basically, and Vipers. And look at the supplies as well. Like, Lambo's in great shape this game.
Absolutely. Extra factory on the way from Spirit. That's going to become important. One of the main things here is usually the fact that at the very least you have well, you know, tanks, right? Because you can use the tanks very nicely against both, you know, against Lurkers, Roaches, Hydras, everything. So the Vipers are the only real issue there. But in theory, if you have enough tanks, the Vipers can't hit all of them. So more tanks, the better. That's why that second factory is going to be very important. We are going to drop around. There's obviously limited mobility with the style that Lambo's currently playing as well. So that's also going to be considered as a factor. That's something else that will come into play, I imagine, as these Lings run straight through. These Marines are going to take some shots. Roaches and Queens coming by to just push the medevacs away.
I guess the weirdest part for me is something that you talked about earlier, just the lack of the range missile upgrade, because his upgrade's could have been a lot sexier right now. As could Spirits, he is forgetting his armor, although I'm looking at his minerals and his gas, he's keeping them extremely low. It's Lambo that's floating a little bit, but that is because he's going for a very, very gas-intensive army. And look at those Vipers. Oh, Spirit tried to catch them off guard there, so sucking up the energy off that hatchery, but Lambo's getting to the end game that he'd like to be at. Granted, he's got a lot of roaches, which he can start trading out, but you still want to do it kind of efficiently, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As Queens, Roaches, Lurkers just come through and pushing back the Calbat there, and the few Marines still lurking around the left side with this medevac trying to get something done, but, well, here we go. First blind cloud is huge, hitting 3 siege tanks all at once. Well, Lambo's is going to waltz straight in position, and man, this feels rough for Spirit, who is now going to actually get a few shots off with the other tanks. The rest of the defense is held strong. So Lambo may have taken position, but Spirit's defense still managed to hold, and he kills a hatchery at the same time. So goodbye 5th base. And there's a drop over here going to nab a few drones as well. Honestly, still pretty darn good.
Not bad at all. And like, soon he's going to have his +2 finished. And I mean, Spirit did survive. He did hold. And look at his work account here, Wardy. Oh, those Vipers.
Oh,
those are sad.
Get them both.
That
what a
good.
catch.
That's
He's been
really
so
good.
active looking for them, man. Like, and that's so, yeah, yes, exactly. You say it's really good because that takes away a huge kind of power spike in this Zerg army. We saw how good that single blinding cloud was before. The less of those you have to face as the Terran player here, the happier you're going to end up being. So, what a great pickoff for Spirit. And honestly, he's been trying for that pickoff for a while, so I'm very happy he was able to make it work out for himself in the end.
Absolutely. Lambo is starting to switch into like melee upgrades here, which, yeah, definitely an interesting way of going about it. Like, those Lings won't be able to fight with these Marines for a little bit of time here. They've only got 1 carapace against 2-1, which is a big deal. But Spirit is in between transitioning here. But it does look like he's going for one of these I'm playing the late game situations. We have the sensor towers going down. And this map, when it comes down to the bases, even though it is large, the amount of bases available, they do run out fairly quickly. And it's an obvious split how you're going to do it, either from left to right, or in this case, from bottom to top. And Lambo has to be careful, because I don't think he's been trading too efficiently so far.
Yeah, it would be cool to see that. Yeah, it's about 2k difference. Not bad for an 11-minute game.
Not bad, not
Obviously, it's this sort of fight or stage as well where you can start trading very badly as the Zerg player trying to deny Terran economy. And don't forget, Spirit loves this kind of game as well, man. Like, Spirit loves to macro it up, be split map, play into the ghosts and everything. He dreams about these scenarios. And while he's become, in fact, one of the things I love the most about Spirit is he's really become a better player because he's become more well-rounded, playing out the earlier game a lot better. He still loves these situations, and he was, you know, he basically grew up on these kind of styles. So, yeah, got to feel a little bit out for Lambo, because now you're essentially playing into Spirit's game. And, well, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, you can see Lambo's own adjustments coming through, especially with the Ling Bane taken to the stage alongside these Lurkers, which is phasing those Roaches out. And it's just going to become a much more typical kind of later game comp, with the Spire there to aid in a transition if necessary.
Spirit, like, this minimap is beautiful, man. You're looking at this and it's like these sensor towers going down, you got vision everywhere, you're safe, there's tanks here, there and everywhere, getting good upgrades going as well. One thing that he is missing out on is that +3 weapons. Gonna try and get a bit of snipe here. Had to use a lot of Banelings to get rid of it, and it actually picked up quite a few of those Marauders. Nice play from both of them doing what they can, because this middle control is actually quite a big deal. These bases, obviously, big, rich gases. You want to soak that out quickly. Oh, well, we're in for a long one here, Wardy.
Oh, absolutely. Like, this map is getting split, and there's nothing we can do to stop them, Ben. It's, I like it, though, because, you know, that first game was such a, you know, such a whoosh kind of game, you know, went straight over our heads. And especially after Maru Hero was also a little quick, I'm happy that we're getting back into something a little bit more kind of dark Gumiho-esque, like how we started the day.
Yeah, big defensive setup. And Lambo, he feels that now is the time to go. Blinding clouds do go down. These Banelings on the left side getting a good wraparound, but There is so much Spirit, man. It feels like there's not anything to take down these Liberators anymore, Wardy. Look at all of those reigning supreme in the top there. I mean, they're both trading pretty phenomenally. This PF, oh my goodness, it stayed alive with like 50 health. I don't think that was a good trade for Lambo.
You have to knock down the base. I mean, 14 SCVs is great and all, but they're so replaceable. You need to hit economy of the Terran in these scenarios because your efficiency is going to be in the gutter. And okay, he only traded 1,000 resources lost worse than what he was already at before during that fight, so that ain't so bad. And he's trying to switch pretty quickly into Broods, which maybe is the plan here from Lambo. Just quick switch to Broods way faster than Spirit expects, and that may be able to catch him off guard. So maybe that's going to be a part of this. Corruptors are indeed already popping out, so away we go.
Away we go. That ghost count is huge. Can we have a look at the army value for both these players of what they have remaining? 18 ghosts on the field. Okay, so Spirit's army is definitely starting to look bigger, but it is one of those that it has to be ready for a fight, doesn't it? Like, you know, you can't just run on creep and just go Hail Mary kind of thing. These ghosts, these liberators, they have to be set up and ready. It does look like Spirit is getting ready to kind of venture over to the left side of the map, maybe feeling a bit more comfortable with this middle setup that he has, but Broodlord's going to be the next weapon of choice for Lambo, and with that amount of ghosts on the field, he has to be super careful about them.
He does indeed. I was going to say, I actually feel like you know, the Broodlords are scary, but because there's such a good Liberator setup, it's going to be very difficult to stop the Ghost sniping. So the Ghost might be able to sit sort of, you know, the Liberators protect against like Infestors and Fungals, right? So if the Ghost can kind of just sit there and snipe, then the Broodlords are manageable on the side of Spirit. So it's one thing to consider as we do just have ourselves obviously still taking base on both sides. Lib's going to start harassing as well. This is why having Corruptors will be nice, because you're going to need those to deal with that. Big push coming in once again. Lambo's just ready to go. He dropped a lot of supply very quickly as SCV retreat. This time the Planetary Fortress will not be as lucky, but those Libs are still MVPs, shooting down Hydras and just no response at all. These Liberators doing huge things. There's snipes on the Vipers. They might have gotten a parasitic bomb off, but the snipes are huge, and the efficiency from Spirit again is just absolutely through the roof. He's able to do so well. And Lambo's supply, okay, he's still got money to spend in the bank, but he is running out of gas.
Holy shit, that's a 20 kill Liberator, man. Like, I think that's been valuable things like drones as well. Like, these Liberators have been absolute key. And Lambo, he had a big bang not too long ago, but that is absolutely depleting. It just feels like a lot of these fights, he's not thinking about how to deal with them fancily. He's just like, go, 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 you know? And Spirit just seems kind of ready. And there's a few things that Spirit did miss out on, like these upgrades that he's starting now. They could have been done for those fights. He's even sort of been neglecting the mech upgrades. Like, if this was Maru right now, you know, +3 weapons. These Lings do nothing. The Broodlings do nothing with those Hellbats. But still, he's doing a really good job of playing it his way, and he slowed down the game a lot too. And it feels like he's making Lambo play his style rather than the other way around.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's kind of interesting that Lambo doesn't play slow himself, right? That he feels the need to go attacking in. And I kind of get it. You don't want to let the Terran set up, but this defensive position is so freaking good. Do we really feel like that's okay? That's yeah, that's a little bit crazy to me. You see the bio coming in that left side, a couple of drones taking some hits, and we will have Broodlords clearing out in the middle of the map as well, just opening up these rocks. Obviously, this extra starport production begins as well, which gives you as Spirit an option to transition later on. And we've seen PCs firing away at Broodlords once already today.
We certainly have. We certainly have. Lambo is starting to kind of clinch on over, though. Like, he's going for an expansion on either side of the map. It's going to be hard to defend both, but I think he's going for the kind of method that if you can get one up, then that's cool. You really bank on that. Nukes will start falling. The creep spread is good, but this is kind of the frantic area where you have to look around as Zerg. Ah, he was on the ball there, man. Like, and look at that, he's kind of shift-click back, so he's more than prepared to deal with this kind of stuff. Nice play out of Lambo. That stuff can be annoying, and he's starting to maneuver down to the bottom of the map, and that is where all of Spirit's fresh bases are too. So this is absolutely where Lambo wants and needs to be.
Yep, milking his way down over here, get rid of some of this economy of the Terran, make it so he can't ever build up that bank. Or at least try and slow him down from that. We do have a Ghost looking for snipes. There's no fungal support for a moment or two, and that allows a couple snipes to land. At least one Broodlord did fall. So some damage already dealt. Vikings trying to get a little bit of a cleanup as well. They will all go down to the fungal and combination with the parasitic bomb. There's a nuke over here. That one looks like it might land. And at the same time, a counterattack of Bio. You see strikes everywhere. Nuke lands. Hatchery dies on the right side. And what a great little counterattack in from Spirit. He hits a pretty good EMP on the Infestors as well, to me.
This is crazy. It's unfortunate those gold minerals aren't mined out, but at the same time, it does allow or disallow Lambo from just kind of running into the natural, I suppose. So maybe it actually works out better for him. 3-3 is about to finish up for Spirit, and despite all this madness, Spirit is the one kind of ahead in supply here, which I guess I'm not surprised with how much he's carving out on the inside of Lambo's base. And Lambo, look, he's having to scuttle back home.
And Scotland back with Broodlords is a slow process. Couple going down. Man, this drop has been insane. Continuing to just trade out with a few lings before finally deciding enough is enough. Time to lift on out of here and just be done with it for the moment. Well, another nuke lines up as well. And it feels as though Lambo's obviously just had a bit too much going on, letting that previous nuke land. You know, we saw him, one time deal with the nuke very well. Following from that, he kind of lost out, on a lot of stuff to the next nuke along. He's just a bit too busy right now, losing a couple units as well, as that army was just a little bit of an edge too close.
Man, this is, Lambo's really feeling the pressure now. Like, not too long ago, he was maxed out, had like a 5k, 2k bank. Now he's lost a few bases. He's getting nuked as well. This is one of the biggest tournaments to come up, and of all people doing it to you, it's bloody Piotr, and he's doing it really damn well. He's doing it so damn well here, Wardy. Like, Piotr is playing a solid ass Terran macro game, and we all know he can do it, but look at that army. That is an army and a half.
That is an army and a half.
There he goes.
I was going to say, someone even call this 2 armies, I think. Never mind an army and a half, because it's a lot. And actually, he's going to waltz straight on a creep spread here. I mean, wild play, he did scan the army to the right side, so he knows where it is. He believes he can deny this hatchery, which he will do, since a few goes forward as well. And apparently, just off and away we go. Straight into these bases. Wow. A few units peel across the left side. And of course, now he's set up preemptively with the Liberators. Ghost getting snipes on a lot of the Broodlords as well. The Ling Bane flank attempt goes absolutely nowhere. And now the Bio's going to clean up on the left side too. And this has just been a beautiful moment to move forward from Spirit. I mean, what a moment to just pick your fight.
It's great play. Like, what can Lambo's army do here? Like, he's on creep. This is kind of the best situation for him in this game. I mean, the only thing that he might, well, in fact, he needs a lot to happen for him. But these Infestors, they can't get these Dream Fungals on these Ghosts. He's doing a really good job of just kind of dancing in the area here. I mean, the tanks are dealing a bit of friendly fire damage, I suppose. But, oh my goodness. Spirit, that was really good play, man. That was really good play out of him. I'm so happy I got to cast this series, especially with Spirit playing as well as he has done, because, yeah, the only person that took him down so far was Hero Marine, and I mean, even that, he played really good. It's so nice to see him playing as well as he is doing.
That is really freaking cool to see, man. He played really good. Like you said, we kind of knew it coming in. He was looking that good, but to bring it out here when it really mattered, it's going to be very fun to see him playing later on as he tries to qualify in a best of 5 later today, of course. So very excited for that. Piotr just looking amazing. Lambo not quite up to the task today, and we'll have to try again next week. Let's go over to the desk. Oh, to us?
No, to the desk. Thank you, boys. Harry Piotr, I cannot believe your guys' pronunciation was unbelievable. But I'll tell you what was more unbelievable than that. We've got Pig and Loco here to talk about how, honestly, Spirit looks like the complete package. He can do a little bit of everything, and especially in that late game here, Pig, he was looking fantastic.
Yeah, even seeing some new lobbies getting up there as well on the screen. Piotr, I'll level up Wardy's pronunciation there. Looked fantastic. He just looked like too much for Lambo, mate. Yeah. Just the Polish power coming through. This was a little unfortunate. I mean, this fight was obviously like the Queens and the Lings, the Banes just not connecting with anything. The flank comes in, and the Banelings just never found the Marines in this first game. Spirit was always so well set up, and from there he was way too far ahead. But what I love is that he's killing people with crisp timing attacks, and he's still just as good as he's always been in the big macro game.
Exactly.
All these bunkers for the safety. I just feel like Spirit, he's evolving to become the whole package.
Yeah, definitely. You're looking at this game to go down loco, and it's just, this is his wheelhouse. This is where he would drag people before when they were hoping that they would defeat him in the early game. And yeah, he loves these moments in these games.
Yeah, no, for years he's been playing this long macro game, right? That's always been his go-to. Like sometimes we cast the best of 3 on our best of 5. We're like, oh no, Spirit is playing. This could take a little while. But he's really stepped it up, especially as far as the timing attacks go. So this is something he's been doing for years, and we all knew he was very good at it, but he really seems to be playing at another level right now. I mean, it's always interesting when players first start stepping it up, right? He looked really good, for example, at Katowice.
Yeah.
Like, will they actually be able to maintain that skill level over the next few months as well? And well, Spirit certainly looks like he's here to stay. He looked incredible in this match.
Yeah, definitely. Those were the highlights brought to you by Aramco, so thank you for those. As Spirit looking great here with a 2-0. Unfortunate for Lambo here, Pig. Of course, now he falls out of this particular bracket, but at least he has another chance next week, and, you know, maybe we'll see something other than him having to go up against great Terrans here in the bracket.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we used to think of Europe as a region where you just don't get enough practice versus high-level Terrans, but I think that has changed. You've got Gabe, you've got Clem, and now Spirit also performing in tournaments as well as practice. Lambo having a rough kind of turn of it against Oliveira, and here I think he's going to be working on his Zerg versus Terran, really studying these games. And I think next week, if he runs into a Terran, we're going to see him with a new approach.
Yeah, definitely. So that means now Spirit is going to go up against Special in a qualification match a little later on down the line. For now, though, we're going to go to a short break, and when we return, we have one more best of 3 before those best of 5 qualification matches begin here for Gamers Without Borders.